Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good day. Hello. Hi, Robin. Hello, Jana. Shamini. Hello, Elio. Deborah is here as well. And hello, Gail is coming as well. Hello, good evening, Gail. How are you? Everyone is good. So let's give it a few minutes and see who else is joining us tonight. Week 14, our very last week already. I cannot believe that the whole course is over. Jana is showing a mama. Do you want to unmute yourself and tell us what you're doing?
I'm just trying to get centered. Does everybody want to do it with me?
Okay, why not? Yes, let us be guided by Jana. So left hand behind the head.
Yep, just breathe in, push in. Push in with your breath and exhale with the release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you. Just needed to get centered there for a minute.
Thank you, Jana, for guiding that. Hello, Sheila. As you probably saw, we were just doing a little mama to get us centered, guided by Jana. Welcome to week 14. And so we are obviously a very small group tonight. And what I had planned for tonight was a little bit of a recap. Who has watched already week 14's video? Sheila has, Gail has. Okay. Yeah, is joining us. And so what I thought what I would do is to go a little bit through the PowerPoint presentation, that not the whole thing, but do a few of the slides and do a little bit of a recap to bring us back on our journey for the 14 weeks, particularly also for those who are not yet in week 14. So you know what's still ahead of you, and also to have a little bit of a recap. Okay, so Vinette is coming, Maureen is coming as well. Welcome, Maureen. And yeah, Vinette is not quite here yet. Always takes a little bit. So that was the plan for today. Let me just double check. Does anyone want to share something before we go into the get started tonight? Anyone wants to share what happened during the week? Maria is smiling. You want to share?
I was waiting for Sheila to speak first.
Okay, Sheila, that was meant for you.
Sheila, how can I not participate? Everybody tries to make me be quiet, and I don't know how to be quiet. Okay, so apparently
you're not supposed to be quiet.
Apparently, when I was born, I made so much noise and tried to make so much noise that my mom named me Sheila, because there was a program she used to watch where there's this woman called Sheila who used to teach English, and she said she talked so much that when I was born, she named me after her. So there you go. Now you know why I'm called Sheila. And I've never stopped talking since. So there you go. Yes. So every year, and I told Dr. Ashwini, every year on my anniversary, like 23rd of August until the middle or end of September, I have terrible hay fever. And that hay fever turns into bronchitis or flu or something terrible. And at times I've even had to go to hospital. And this year I said to Dr. Ashwini, I'm doing the detox. So it's not going to happen this year, okay? And she said, well, it depends what I did before. And so I was very obedient to Dr. Ashwini, and I did everything she told me to. And I had 3 days where I thought that even though I'd had both vaccines, I must have something really bad. Maybe I even thought maybe I have COVID. It was so bad. I still have a hot flush type fever, but I did everything as I was told. And I used a new knowledge that I now have of how to deal with all the symptoms. And for the first time ever, this has ended in 3 days. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Excellent.
And I feel good. And I'm just so excited to say that, I didn't have to go to the doctor. I didn't have to take antibiotics. I didn't have to take anything. Yes, I took homeopathic medicine, which works side by side with homeopathic medicine, works like a quick fix. And the home remedies and everything. This is my tea that Dr. Ashwini told me to have. This is my potli, which is to stop my runny nose. And I did all of those things as well. And I'm here. I was scared I'd miss this meeting. I was so scared I missed this meeting because I love you all so much and I couldn't miss this meeting. And yeah, so I know you wouldn't have missed me, but there you go.
We would have missed you, of course. We would have missed you.
We would have missed you.
That's amazing, Sheila. Absolutely amazing. So 3 days instead of having weeks. That is really, really good. And so I'm
really serious. And for maybe 7-8 years I've had this. I literally put it on my calendar, which is kind of like what you were saying once about, the what's it called, the placebo effect and the nocebo effect. I sort of expected it to happen, so I put it in my calendar. This is the dates that I'm going to be out. and it didn't happen. So yeah.
That is really, really good. So I'm so delighted for you, and really write that down. So we have Maria, she has her hand raised, but Gail has also unmuted herself, so you can then speak after that. Okay, Maria, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
So for me, I had a very busy week. I'm a teacher. That's my really first week, whatever, busy. And I practiced the Marma. So I put my alarm. So the five Marmas 6 times a day. And I'm eating mung beans. And I don't know how I am here, but I'm here and happy. And it's Friday. So I can feel really, when I do the Marma, I can feel most of them I'm yawning. You say yawning?
Yawning. Mm-hmm.
I can feel it's like it's very powerful. Really, the 5 Marmas, 6 times a day. I can feel it. I'm so happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those mamas are extremely powerful. So, and yesterday I was speaking with my cousin about all the work I have to do, not only my work, but everything I'm doing. And she said, I think now you have all the resources, so you can handle anything. And I was really thinking, yeah, I mean, everything the training is giving to us is, yeah, it's like, wow. And yesterday I was thinking, I back to the routine in the morning. And I was like, if you can just have a little time in your day just for yourself, it's going to be that one. So I enjoy it even more. I was like, that's my time. And it's going to be the only time you can have. So okay.
How's Solomon?
Solomon is doing good. But you know what? He's not eating as much as mung beans because I'm back to work. So I'm less behind him. And I'm like, yesterday I told him, I say, you need to go back to mung beans because he told me that he was feeling it was good for him. Mm-hmm. And Donovan, my other son, is asking me the marmas. And yesterday he said, could you put the ghee, please? Because I can really feel how it's calmed my body.
Okay. that's amazing as well, that they can really feel the difference
Yeah.
and then are actually asking for it. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Maria.
You're
Gail.
welcome.
Yeah, hey, I went to the dentist this week. Okay, and I've been doing the oil pulling and tongue scraping and stuff in the morning. And also, I cook coffee. In May when I did the 28-day detox, I quit coffee and I haven't touched it since. And the hygienist, she says, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "What?" "Your teeth. They're so different."
Okay.
She said, "Whatever you're doing, keep it up."
So all of that changes. Well, what happened? Are they a different color, or what happened to your teeth
Yeah,
when you say that?
well, the coffee, there was always coffee stain. And the stain just wasn't there this time.
Mhm.
Not drinking coffee, and I'm sure that the oil pulling has helped with it, and that type of thing as well. So that was
Okay.
good.
Excellent. Great results. So, Shamini?
Actually, I find the oil pulling is really good because even I have usually every time when I go to the dentist, I have to do some filling or other. But after I started the oil pulling, when I went to the dentist, it's like, okay, no filling today. And everything was good. And even you didn't have to clean as much. So that oil pulling really does work.
Mhm.
Thumbs down everywhere, hands down.
Very good. Let me just check something here. Okay.
Can I just ask a question about the oil?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
I was running out. So I bought new one, and I bought the raw sesame oil, which is darker, and it's very more tasty. Do you know what it is? The other one was very light, and this one is like, ah. Do you know what I'm speaking about?
I don't know exactly, but raw in general, the first, it doesn't matter what kind of oil you're using. Whenever you take the very first, even when you use olive oil, you need to take it from the first, I think, how do you call that?
Pressure.
When they press, yeah, the first one, that is always the darkest, because you take out the most of the color with it as well, and you get definitely the most taste out of it, and they are normally much stronger in their taste as well.
But I can
So,
still use that one. That's fine.
Yeah. I don't see why not. I wouldn't say
Isn't
why
there
not.
also a black sesame seed and a white sesame seed?
I don't know. Let me go and get it.
There is, and there might be, the black sesame seed has a darker oil when they press that than the white sesame seed.
I'm gonna go and check.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gail.
I had my book out, and Alicia, I couldn't think of her name. Alicia has in her notes to swish with raw organic sesame oil for the oil pulling.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I use it also for my body. So it smells a bit, but it's not too much. Then I get showered, so that's fine.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks.
Very good. Hi, Rachel. Great to see you. Hello. So we are just kind of checking in from what happened during the week. Anything you want to share with us, or do you want to wait until later? Or do you have anything to share? I would like to hear from you.
Hi, sorry it took me long. I couldn't get onto Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I've found this 100-day course has been fantastic. Just from 100 days ago, how much I'm so much more grounded. I've done two lots of the 28-day course, so that's really helped my mental state. Like, I've got PTSD, so therefore a lot of the time I'm in a triggered state, whereas now I can monitor that a lot better, and I'm finding the Mama point, the forgive and forget, that is just a lifesaver for me. Like at first, as I have been tried so many different modalities for health and nothing worked, and so I was quite skeptical and I didn't go in with it in a positive sense at first, but I'm finding it so much, yeah, can't say much more than that at the moment. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is really great results that you're giving us here. Yeah, and you imagine that you're just pressing some points on your body and you can get such amazing results. And unfortunately, no one is teaching us that up to now. I had never heard of mama points until I started this course, even though I'm using pressure points when I work on people, but they are completely different in what they achieve. And I'm absolutely fascinated by the power of the mama points, all the difference that we learned, and there are so many more that we haven't even heard of yet, but they will come at some point when if you decide to go into the kind of the 3-year course or the another, there will be different lengths of course to continue. Clint is going to announce that and to speak about that at some point. And then it will definitely be much deeper going into the mama points and all the other topics that we covered in the last 100 days. I would say, if no one else right now has anything wants to share right now, that I would like to take you back on a little journey to, Gina is laughing. Do you have to share something? Did I miss something?
No, I was just laughing. Maria, would you like to read what you wrote or say what you wrote in the chat?
Yeah, Donovan was in the meeting about homeless.
Okay.
And so with some of you, and then he said, "You didn't taught me this one." I'm like, sorry.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, "I'm sorry, I haven't done this lesson
This one
for
yet.
now."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's more that we can go through, and I'm also looking forward to learn some more, even though I guess we already learned the most important ones. So as I say, what I wanted to do today is not go through the whole presentation, but just to give us a little bit of a recap on what we covered in the last 100 days. And let me just share my screen here. And so you should be able now to see my PowerPoint presentation, hopefully. And so,
Yes.
Love will teach you. This is, as you know, the quote that is at the beginning of the book, and one that has been quoted many, many times. I didn't come to teach you. I came to love you, and love will teach you. And quite a few of you spoke about how much going through the 100 days has actually changed the love for yourself, how much it has changed the relationship with yourself. And that is really one of the biggest gifts that we get when we really start to take care of ourselves by following the ancient secrets principles, the Siddha Veda principles, to really acknowledge who we are. And this all starts with one question. And this is how we start the whole course. And that is, what do you want? And the course started with deciding for all of you, what did you want to focus on? What was the one goal, this one health challenge, or one thing that you wanted to work on for the 100 days? And then using the principles, the tools, and the instruments that Siddha Veda and the ancient secrets give us to work on that one health challenge or whatever challenge it was that you wanted to work on. And as we were told at the very beginning, this whole course is not so much about information. It is really about transformation, about whatever we are learning within the 100 days to apply it to ourselves first and seeing the results it gives us. And one of the things that was really said and very highlighted and emphasized in the very first week was a true healer develops on 3 levels. First of all, knowing, which is all about the information, but then it is about the doing, the application of what we learned. And then the being, which is then really embodying everything that we learn, much more than just knowing and having it in our head. And one of the things that we also heard during this time quite often is the 3 most important things to achieve in life are, first of all, to know what you want, then to achieve it, and then, of course, to enjoy it. And that is where so many people actually fall short, that they might know what they want, they might achieve it, but then they are so busy doing more and more and more that they forget to actually enjoy what they have just achieved. And so that is one of the main principles as well, that is a foundation of the whole Siddha Veda course. And let me just see what else. What really was also said quite often is, and what I liked about this whole 100-day course is that it follows so much what I always wanted to give when I work with people, is that you give them the tools and so they can become independent. And Dr. Naram was always talking about that when he was talking to his patients, that he said, it's not about you coming to me all the time, but I'll give you the tools so you can become independent and then apply all these, it doesn't matter, the home remedies, the diet, the herbs, everything. You know then what to do in every situation. So you will become independent instead of becoming dependent on a doctor. And that is definitely, you might need to go to them every now and then, but in general, it's really about becoming independent in what you're doing. And I guess that is something that spoke to me really quite a bit, and probably to you as well. So we were, as you know now, we have definitely 3 key instruments that are at the basis of Siddha Veda, and these are the diet, the home remedies, the herbal remedies, then mamas, we spoke about them already, then the detox, which is the ashtakama or panchakama, depending on how many tools you're using during panchakama or ashtakama, or the detox, and then it's the lifestyle changes. And these are the 6 pillars on which the whole Siddha Veda concept actually is based. And that is where the topics that we were kind of hearing about during the 100 days. I just go through it more or less quickly, so I just wanted to give you an overview again. Week 2 was about doshas and the types. And so you learned about what Vata is, what Pitta is, and what Kapha is. Vata is all about transportation, movement in the body, speech, digestion, all this is part of Vata. Pitta, transformation, meaning whatever food you're taking in, it is digested. It's the metabolism, which is also the transformation of food into nutrients that are then going into the different dhatus, which was then the next week. It gives the color of blood and skin. All of that is part of the Pitta function. And then Kapha is the support, which also is the nourishment of all the cells, all the different tissues. It's the lubrication and digestion and taste. So these are definitely the things that are very important when it comes to doshas and types. And the basis for that is really to figure out what is your dosha. And then basing everything what you're doing actually on what type you are, because as we have heard so many times, everything can be either medicine or poison for you, depending. What is a medicine for one person can be poison for you. And Dr. Klink is always telling the story of Dr. Giovanni, that he put his hot sauce on the pizza because Dr. Naram did it. So Dr. Giovanni thought, okay, that must be good. If he's doing it, then it must be good for me. But Dr. Naram was a kapha type. So for him, hot sauce was really good. But for Dr. Giovanni, who is more pitta, that wasn't a good idea. And so we need to find out what is good for us, and every decision that we make for our diet, for our how we change, for example, in the seasons, on our daily routine, needs to be based on what we are as a dosha, what is our main type, and what. And this is why it might be important for us to get maybe our pulse read, or have a Vaidya or Ayurvedic practitioner to really tell us what we are, so we can then find out really exactly what we need to do and what is good for us. So this is all part of what we learned about the doshas. Week 3 was then on, week 2, very important assignment we had on that week, cleaning the toilets. And that was really about, can we do something that we don't like to do, and that might come hard, to 100%? Can we give 100% in every moment? And cleaning the toilets and doing something that might not come easy to us was a big learning curve for a lot of people. I remember in the first course that I was part of, that somebody actually gave up in that week because she didn't want to clean the toilets. And she said, I'm not going to do that whole course because of that. And there was so much resistance to do something. But as we all know, if you read the book of Dr. Klink, then you know that this is how Dr. Naram's training started. First of all, to be patient, 100 days coming back and showing his master, Baba Ram Das, that he was really willing to show up 100 days and wanting to learn from him. And then the first task that he was supposed to do was to clean the toilets, and he didn't give his 100%. And so he had to do it again. And I guess that was one of the big lessons for me as well. See, if we don't give 100%, we won't take as much out of everything. And it doesn't matter what we do in life. To be present with another person 100%. If we eat our food and we are present 100%, in no matter what we do, we'll change everything, because we are just paying attention in a different way when we are there 100% and we give 100%. Big lesson, and probably one of the most important assignments that we got in the 100 days, at least for me. Week 3, the dhatus and the types. These were all the tissues that we went through: the plasma, the blood, the muscles, then the fat. Then we had also the bone and cartilage, the nerves, and then the reproductive, the semen and the ovaries, like all of that. And every one builds on the next. So if we look at, if we have an issue with, for example, the plasma, the rasa, and we don't have enough nourishment there, then of course, because all the rest is built from plasma, everything above that will also suffer. So it showed us what symptoms do we have when certain dhatus are increased or certain dhatus are decreased. And if you cannot really remember, then I invite you to go back and really go back into this lesson, because it's a very foundational one to understand how the different tissues are building on each other and how when we are not nourishing them, how it will affect all the other ones that are more or less built from them. Then came week 4, and in week 4 we had the daily routines, and Alicia was really showing us so many things, and we were already listening to it this evening, what it can do when we are actually pulling the oil pulling, and how much it can help us cleaning the teeth, how much it will detoxify us, and all of the different routines that she shared with us that we can implement in the morning. How much exercise do we do? How do we wake up? What do we do early in the morning to get ourselves ready for the day? In what state of mind are we starting the day? But also in what state of mind do we end our days? All of that has an influence on our health. And as you may remember, there are also daily cycles. So depending on what time of the days, there's more Vata, more Pitta, or more Kapha. So again, depending on that, we can actually then adjust our daily routine according to our dosha, but also the general way of looking at things on when certain doshas are more emphasized during the day. And then we went further from the day, we went to the seasons in week 5, because also the seasons have a different impact on our health. And by paying attention to what is going on in our environment, what's the temperature out there? Is it windy? Is it raining? How do these things affect our body? Also, again, depending on the doshas that are dominant in our body. That really makes a difference in how we can adjust. And by paying attention to these things, we can often prevent certain ailments that we might have. So maybe if someone is allergic, as Sheila was saying, maybe by doing certain things, we can prevent in the future to even get them. We can prevent getting a cold. We can prevent certain things that we might have suffered from in the past by paying more attention that in the winter, for example, we really eat more warm food instead of maybe eating raw salads that are cold and that they might not be as good for us. So paying attention to what the environment and the seasons do to us is also a very important part of going through life according to Ayurveda. Then we started already before that with putting together our emergency kit. And so paying attention to what certain spices can do to our body and how they can help us overcome, for example, cough or cold, and how they warm our body or cool our body down. All of this knowledge can be really, really helpful also in emergency situations. And so this is why we learned how to put our own emergency kit together. And we built on that from starting in week 3 throughout the whole course by learning more and more. And in week 6, we actually talked about the herbal formulas from Ayushakti and the supplements. And we learned also what is the secret of staying healthy and the process of disease. And health really starts with having balanced doshas, balanced acne, balanced status, the tissues. Then, of course, also elimination. How good is our acne, our digestive fire? How well can we really eliminate things and transform them in our body? And all of that then will help us to have a happy soul and a clean and clear and calm mind. So that was for week 6. In week 7, we started with the art of diet, a very important part of the whole Ayurvedic concept, to actually, depending on our doshas, what can we eat? So how can we balance our diet, that it supports us? What can we eat and what can we not eat? We were talking again about the importance of acne, and then also the healing power of diet. And we learned how certain foods can help us with common health challenges. For example, joints and bones, the allergies, colds and cough, all of that were covered in week 7. In week 8, then we went a little bit deeper even in the food, and that was what kind of factors determine the effects of food. And that is, of course, the consistency, how we prepare food, how we combine foods, which ones we should never eat together, like, for example, milk and fruit, and milk and fish should never be together because they just cannot be digested well. Then the quantity as well as the quality of food and the source of the food when we are eating certain things. And so we learned that it's not just about the food itself, but there is so much more to it that for me was also quite a bit of it was completely new. And we also learned that we should have all 6 tastes always within our meals, meaning sweet, sour, salty, hot, bitter, and astringent should always be present in each meal. Then week 9, we covered then the home remedies, and that is definitely a very important topic, because it shows us how we can, with things that we might have really in our kitchen every day, we can actually help us with a lot of ailments that we have all the time, like toothache, headaches, and colds. And how can we now, for example, even when it comes to COVID, when we have virus infection, how can we help ourselves to keep our immunity up? If we have it, what can we do? What kind of things can we take at that moment? And knowing these things makes us really, empowers us. That is really what I like so much about the home remedies, that I felt that I have now something in my hands, in my kitchen, that I can use all the time when I have suddenly a headache. And then I can decide, okay, that is because it's in my neck. Oh yeah, okay, that is definitely that kind of a Vata headache. So I know what to do, what kind of, what do I need to put together in order, and then treat it, which mamas to use. And this is so helpful when it comes to helping myself, and then also pass on this kind of information. So that was week number 9. Then we had Panchakarma, which coincided then, or we planned it that way, that this was also then the week when the detox, the 28 detox started. And so Panchakarma is a technique of detoxing the body, but as everyone who went through that definitely realized also that it wasn't just about detoxifying the body, but it's also detoxifying the mind and the emotions, because whatever we do on a physical level on our body always has also an influence on our mental and our emotional level. And the Panchakarma has, in Siddha Veda, we have these 5 processes that are used, which are the emesis, the purgation, then enemas, bloodletting, and also inhalation. And then there might be some other things that come depending on the constitution and what's going on in the body. There might be some other things that are added to that. Then we had week 11, we were talking about Svastavrita, which are all the urges that we have. Some of them are mental urges. And these are the ones, emotions, certain things that we should suppress. And then we also were talking about natural urges that we should never suppress, like, for example, sneezing or coughing or even farting. and things like that, where we actually often, due to where we grew up and in what environment, that we were told you shouldn't do that. And then we are actually hindering our or stopping our health or being healthy, because we are suppressing certain urges, or not going to the toilet because you are, for example, in school and you cannot go to the toilet in the middle of a class. And so you're learned actually to suppress that urge, which is never a good idea. So we learned about that and what it can do to us if we do that. Week 12, very important week, mamas. And that we already talked about the powerful tool of mamas, using them for all kinds of forgive and forget, the concentration, centering, the one we did just at the beginning of tonight, and so many of the others, anxiety, and there are so many more. Pain, what can we do when we are in pain? And then of course one of the first ones we learned, which is the one, what do I want? And then week 13 was last week, the power of pulse healing, where we learned at least a tiny bit about how to read the pulse, how to listen to the pulse, how do we put our fingers on the wrist or the lower arm, how can we feel for Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, what does it mean? And as you can see, it increases our capacity as a healer by learning to listen to the pulse. And it's also a very powerful tool to be really present with someone. And as we heard last week, just touching someone already helps the other person to heal, because the touch of another person already has so much healing power that we often completely forget. And so there are so many layers when it comes to the power of pulse healing, but just the touch is definitely one of them. And I mean, as I said, we already have, you have another 100 days now that you have finished the course. If you have finished already all 14 weeks, to go through the whole course again, listen to all the videos again, to all the bonus videos, the Sunday calls as well, because often enough there were relating stories, particularly the ones that were going with the first course right after we did the training sessions on the Saturday. We often had the healing stories on the Sunday calls that go with that specific topic. So it's definitely worth, if you haven't done so yet, to go through all of those. So there were a few more things that were, if you want to learn more about pulse healing, about the mamas, there will be more information about the course that is coming that Ayush Shakti and Dr. Lind are putting together at the moment. There was talk about going just for 1 year, but then also to do the 3-year course that would allow you to actually then be a full licensed practitioner of Ayush Shakti or Siddha Veda. And then, of course, this week it's all about reflecting of what you did. And some of you already have sent the information over. And it is the 3 things you learned from the course and or the challenge activities. And what did you discover during that week that made the most impact on you in each of the weeks? So these were the things that you were supposed to reflect on if you are already in week 14. Otherwise, this will come at some point. And so we have already done that a little bit, but right now I would like to ask you, first of all, if you have any questions, that's the time to do though, and then I will ask you a couple of more questions about what is the most important thing for you that you learned in the 100-day course. So that was my quick summary of what we did in the 14 weeks. Maria? You are unmuted.
I put a question in the chat when we were learning about the datus. I was wondering if there is an order for sure, but is the Shukra datus the most important in a way? Like, is it the foundation of anything?
The Dhatu Shukra is actually the
reproduction one with the
it's the
fluid.
reproduction. It's the one that is on the top of the, like you start with the plasma, and then you go into the blood, and then you go into the bones and the muscles and all of that. And so everyone feeds the next one. So if you have a lag, for example, in the plasma, or you don't have enough nutrients there, then your blood won't be as healthy as it could be. And this goes on with the next one. So the next one is then the muscles and the bones and the fat. And so they build on each other. So in that sense, the semen and the reproductive tissues are on the top.
Okay, that was because for me in my mind that was the other one. That was the plasma who was kind of at the top.
The foundation. That's the foundation. So
okay.
When you actually when you take in nutrients through your food, the first thing that happens is when the food is digested, is that it actually transforms first into plasma, and then the plasma feeds the blood, and then the blood feeds that's kind of how it works. So, and that means if the digestion is not working properly and you are not taking out all the nutrients that to go into the plasma, and the plasma is already depleted of nutrients, all the rest cannot be healthy.
Okay, thank you so much, because I was saying the other way of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
So thank you. Okay.
Any other questions to now that Robin?
Yeah, I in some discussion with the marmas, I think it was Dr. Clint said that these marmas are different than the marmas in other traditions of Ayurveda, and I was wondering, out of all the different all the different things that we learned, are there differences, or are there certain things like the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, all of that stuff is the same as regular Ayurveda? Like if we wind up wanting clarification on things, or if we're reading stuff online other places, is it likely to be parallel, or are we likely to get confused?
It depends. There are things that are the same, that are kind of the foundation, like the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. They are the same in everywhere. But then the observation that the Siddha Veda Vadyas made over centuries might be slightly different than what other schools of thought, like other Ayurvedic schools, might have observed. And when they were writing down their secrets, they might be slightly different than somewhere like Siddha Veda is different from Ayurveda. Certain things are still the same, and they would apply in all of them. But particularly with the marmas, from what I understand, is really that it's not just pressing certain points. And Dr. Clint said it again and again, and Dr. Hemang said it as well, and Dr. Giovanni said it. There is something going on a deeper level. And a lot of the other Ayurvedic schools that you might come across, they more or less teach you, okay, you press this point, but there is not this connection that Dr. Naram wanted the practitioner to have to the universe, for lack of a better word, to, as he said, there is so much going on underneath the surface that we are not aware of, which is why we cannot do this more advanced marmas right now. If you look at what they are doing, what Dr. Naram, for example, does on some of the advanced marmas, he's pressing certain points. He's rubbing the pain mukti into on the back. But there are also other things that he is doing that we cannot even see and that we don't understand. And this can only be learned by actually being with a practitioner and learning from that person and understand and connecting on a different level. Whereas a lot of what we can read now, when you go online, there is so much information. Okay, you press this point and you do this, but this is different. And you have the same when you look at Chinese medicine. There are different schools of thoughts there as well, that they approach things a little different. When you look at the difference between acupuncture and acupressure, they are both using more or less the same points, but still there is a slightly different philosophy behind the two. And therefore it both have their value, but they are different. And I guess that is what we have to respect as well. It is a different lineage. So the information that came down for 2,500 years might differ from what Ayurveda, in certain aspects, what came down from Ayurveda. And I mean, if you listen to, again, to what Dr. Stephen said, you can read everything and learn everything, but it's not always the same. If you, for example, look at one of, what's his name, Vasant Lath, I think is his name, one of the leading Ayurveda big teacher, he's talking about a lot of things that we hear as well, but it's still slightly different. So you need to make up what do you want to do? Do you want to follow exactly the Siddha Veda, or do you mix it? But I don't know. I guess we should still learn as much as we can, and whatever works, as Dr. Stephen always said, whatever works is good.
Thanks.
I don't know. Does this answer your question? Kind of?
Yes.
Sheila?
Yeah, I wanted to add to what you were saying, because in the summary it asks, like, what are 3 things you've learned? And I've looked at lots of different things, and I've looked at Tibbi medicine, which is, you know, the Islamic version, and I've looked at lots of different things. And I've also read, I actually have Vasant Lath's one of his books, and I researched that as well. And when you look at everything, and before I joined this, I had written my own book about how to overcome fear and grief, and I had done some research for that, and I had discovered that there's actually a whole institution in California based on touch therapy, and how touch, you know, can initiate healing. But what I've understood from Dr. Naram, from Dr. Clint 100%, and from everybody here, and you know, and from the calls, the miracle calls and everything, is that the added thing is compassion. And I think the force of compassion is so powerful. Love, you know, they use the word love, and people use the word love so lightly, but when you truly unconditionally love all of humanity, then the way you reach out to all of humanity is completely on a different level. And I think this is what this lineage does. And part of my belief is that you know, Buddha was you know, a spiritual leader, or we call him a prophet of God. And so his, you know, Jivaka was in that divine sort of, you know, environment. And what everyone's learned from that is what everybody learns from all the prophets of God. And so this is just my personal belief. So, you know, this my understanding is that the special quality of what we've learned in the 100 days, and it feels like way more than 100 days, I have to say, is that the little injection into every single, you know, lesson that we learned was that injection of love, but we just didn't realize how it was doing it. And you realize everybody realizes it probably a different lesson. I realized it at one particular lesson. Everybody probably realized it at a different lesson. But I truly feel that everything else I've ever learned has been very clinical. Like there's this body, and you got to do something to this body. You've got to either attack the disease or kill the virus, or, you know, do something to the body. But this isn't like that. This is love the body, love the personality, because by loving it, by showing compassion, by almost caressing that personality, you're preparing it for the next life. And the more love you put into it, the more it happens. Okay, so that sounds very theoretical, but I really put it into practice. And I don't know how to tell everyone how much my whole life and my family have totally changed just because of me, because I've changed the way I deal with things. And you know, this idea of cleaning toilets, I had to do something that I think, I mean, cleaning toilets is not a big deal for me at all. Every year, for, you know, we have like 20,000 people who come to an event in my community, and sometimes I do that duty. I clean the toilets. That's not a big deal. But what I had to do was on a different level. I had to treat people who truly hated me. And I felt that. But when I reversed that, I got the same back. And now I get hugs from people I never expected to get hugs from. And I'm able to help them. And so I think that, Cornelia, the best way to describe this particular style of healing is that there's an injection of compassion and love every step of the way. And there was connections with, you know, I have a religious mind. I believe in all the world religions, and I believe in one God. And I could see it. It all made sense. I've studied Christianity thoroughly. I've studied Buddhism. I've studied Confucianism. I've studied all of the world religions. And I could see it in all of this. We believe that there's 7 heavens, 7 levels to heavens, to heaven. And there's 7 layers to our body, which we just discussed just now. And the highest level is the creative level, which is when you're in tune with God, which is the reproductive one. And if we can start with the base level and work up, then that creation will be so beautiful. So, you know, I could go on forever. I'm just so happy. And I'm so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sheila. You are putting things into words that it's just so beautiful to listen to you, and how you just said that the greatest distinction is the infusion of love to everything. And I guess that is really one of the things that comes across all the time when we talk to each other in this group, in this community. Everything is like that, and that is a big difference to what you see elsewhere. Thank you so much for sharing. Deborah, I have the feeling you would like to speak. You're muted.
I forgot how to unmute for some reason today.
Now you know.
It's been a really rough month, and I'm really glad that I was doing this 100-day course when this challenge came up. But Sheila, I want to thank you one of the things that was my goal when I started this 100-day course was to start living a heart-centered life with my heart open again. And I come from the intention of love, but that's different than coming from love and having the feeling and the connection to your heart. And I started getting point and misty when people would do kind things, and I was really connecting to my heart. And right now I'm in a little bit of a challenge point. But what I would normally do is start shutting my emotions back down and becoming smaller and less of who I am, instead of walking into a bigger place. And so I just feel stronger coming out of this 100-day course. And so I'm really happy about that. And the knowledge, I mean, the other day I went and had something. I don't usually do anything that's not on the outside of the store that's prepackaged, and I had something without reading the labels on it. Next thing you know, got this bloating and I'm wheezing, and I'm like, okay, I guess my body does not want that. So, you know, being so much more self-aware about what you're putting in your body and what are the reactions to it. And even though I still am a stress eater and I'll still eat some of the things I shouldn't, but I'm way more conscious and aware of the choices and what the effects it's having on my body. So the one goal I did not accomplish, so I'm hoping maybe we've got a really nice little group in our little subgroup that meets on Saturday morning. And I'm hoping we'll stay together, because my goal that I didn't get accomplished in this 100 days was to do some of those bonus videos. And so we could almost go back through the course, but go through doing the bonus videos together and still talking. So I hope we'll keep going. And since I didn't accomplish that goal because of time constraints, but I got a lot out of the course. And even though I'm in a challenging moment right now, and I am extremely grateful for every person that was on this course, and their willingness to share and to love each other and be present. So anyway, that's what I was going to say.
I will say it right now. I still haven't talked to Clint yet, because he only came back out. He was gone, and he's extremely busy at the moment. He was supposed to speak tonight here on the call, and he even said he might. I'm still checking. Nope. If he has sent me a little message that I could play tonight, but he's in the air at the moment, and he's flying somewhere. So he's not available, so he couldn't be on the call tonight. So I still haven't spoken to him about the idea of actually continuing, not on a weekly basis, but definitely because so many, not just on the Friday groups, but also on the Saturday group, are not yet finished with the course. And there might be still quite a few questions coming up that we still will meet, maybe every 2 weeks. And so we can still kind of answer your questions. And also then the bonus videos go through, and you have more time then to kind of do that as well. And the other thing is, if you are in a really strong kind of group and you're part that we are together, I can only say, if you can keep it up and meet maybe even outside of your kind of the calls. I'm still meeting my part now every Wednesday for two hours. I think we missed 2 Wednesdays since we finished the course. And we are still talking every week. We are talking about how we are doing. We are doing mamas, we are learning. So there's always something new, and we are always sharing. And there is something to be said about being within a small group and kind of keeping the sharing up. But I will definitely offer the possibility to come together, be in smaller groups, and keep talking in your group for them until we are finished until December. So everyone has the chance to finish and also still be in community. So that is what I'm going to do. As I said, I haven't even spoken to him, and but I don't think he will mind that we are continuing like that. So that's the plan for me. So anyone else would like to share? Let me just go back into gallery view so I can see you all. Robin?
Yeah, I would like to thank Sheila for what you said, because it really, it started my whole mind going back to Dr. Naram's saying that, you know, one of the most important things that you're doing is understanding the person that you are wanting to help. And so often they just want to be understood. And I'm listening to an Abraham CD right now, and a lady asked a question about her father who had Alzheimer's. And Abraham's answer to her asking, does it even matter if I go visit? And the answer was, well, if if it feels good to you, do it. If it doesn't, don't do it, because it doesn't matter to him at all. He's already chosen to not communicate. But I think so much of the time, it's like that rebellious child is what an Alzheimer's person goes back to. And I have a friend who works with arts and gets them to, and scents of plants and things, and gets them to remember things and be able to write their name, or heal things from when they were 4 years old. And it's that all of a sudden she's created this window where the understanding is created. And it's not that they completely don't want to communicate, but they've just kind of shut down as what was being communicated wasn't working somehow for them, and it's kind of like a cry for help that most people just don't even bother to take the time to understand. And so I really, from this conversation, it was like, okay, if we first add love and understanding, then what's possible, then pressing the points and doing the herbs, that it all can help. But when that being able to go deep enough for the real healing comes with the love and understanding.
So well said, Robin. Thank you. Maria, raising your hand.
Yeah, just to speak about that, it's very interesting to listen to you. So that was my first 2 weeks at school, and I think I had the smoothest back to school ever, because I was in that place of love and understanding, and I could feel the difference with the parents. They were just giving me their child, and I was like, there is this single mom, she just moved to the island. I mean, her life is just a mess. And she has this little child, and I say, can do whatever you want. I just want to help you. And she says, thank you so much. And I mean, there is no block when you're from that position. Everything just flows. And everybody's happy. And whatever happens. And I think really it's so nice you're speaking about that, because I didn't reflect about the Ayurvedic, this training in that situation, but I'm just here in love with what happens. And I had really 2 beautiful weeks, because you're just here to love and understand people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
That's it. That's so big. That's such a big change in all of us that came.
But it's like the parents that are surprised, like, wow, because then we are not used in our relationship with people you don't know. They're not used to that. So I can feel they're like, wow, okay, it's gonna be a good year. Yeah, it's gonna be a good year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Ashia, you came online. Do you want to speak?
Yes, please. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Just wanted to have a moment of gratitude to you, Cornelia. Thank you so much for leading these classes the way you did. So glad that you asked me and I joined to be here. just warming up, learning and knowing these beautiful, beautiful people which we learn from. So I really have a moment of gratitude. Sorry, my energy is not very high right now. Is my body's is kapha as I'm going through definitely through cleansing is a season, and bloating and pain, and it's just all kind of stuff is going with me. The whole day I was just resting. I was like, oh my God, no, I have to join this class because next week I'm busy. But I just wanted to see each and every one of you and say thank you. I learned so much from you, and just the gratitude. Thank you so much, Cornelia. I appreciate it. And each and every one of you, I don't want to name, take time, but thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ashia,
you.
for showing up, for being here with us and sharing yourself with us. I really appreciate you for being here. Gail.
Okay. One thing that has really helped me a lot as well, for my inner journey, many things have helped, but this one is, is bringing some sort of forefront to my mind tonight, is the ego, where I have really learned to let the ego of externalism, materialism fade away. And, it's now, kind of to the point of, I'll give one example. Driving, down the street and, in the car, and you get some creature that, does a cut in front of you or something. And, you get frustrated and, you want to cuss at them or say some choice words or whatever. And, I've learned, instead of doing that, to look at it like it is a opportunity for a little break, a break that will allow me to be grateful for something, versus getting upset, So that's one of the, one of the things I wanted to kind of pass along.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, there's so much to be said about that as well. Anyone wants to speak to that directly? Checking, yeah, Sheila?
Yeah, Gail, one thing I learned was that, when you deal with someone and if they're angry or upset or they misbehave or they do something extraordinary that, you just can't cope with, I learned that, we need to realize that we don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what pressure they're under. We don't know what negative forces they're having to deal with, what kind of emergency they're in. So if you just, one of the biggest things that really impacted me was when Vimela said, just imagine that everybody loves you. Just pretend that everybody loves you and just give them the benefit of the doubt that every single human being was created from love, and that you don't know why they cut in, like you said, Gail, right? People do that, rage and whatever on the roads. We have a lot of that here in Toronto, and there's accidents all over the place, and people don't use their common sense sometimes. And we had a terrible thunderstorm the other day, a couple of days ago, and there was accidents on every.
Did we just lose you, Sheila? I guess we lost your voice, your sound, and your picture's frozen as well. Okay, I guess we have to wait for her to come back. Okay, so we are already 1 hour and 15 minutes. Sheila, are you back?
Yeah, I don't know how that got disconnected. I think internet, good old internet. But anyway, I forgive the internet.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, we need to do that every now and then. Mine was very slow today as well, so not much did work today internet-wise. Okay, so we do have definitely a celebration coming up next week, and we are planning. We are still in the planning stages what exactly is going to happen. So I will send out an email and let you know exactly what is going to happen. And then I would say we go into our breakout rooms, and the assignment, what you want to talk about today is what was one of the things that you did learn in the last 100 days that you could easily pass on to somebody else and maybe already have passed on. And maybe also you want to share with your part, what was your greatest transformation so far in the 100 days? What do you see has changed the most for you? And if you can share that in your group. And there was, before we go into the breakout room, I wanted to say there's one probably little glitch when it comes to week 14 and sending in material. And Helen, for you, you actually sent me this challenge. No, it wasn't the challenge activity. It was actually the workbook where everything, I don't know why that's, you don't have to send this one in with all the going through all the lessons and putting into answering what were the highlights for you, but it was empty. And the problem here is when you type in the all of the information, you will see that the way it comes up at the moment, there's kind of when you go where you normally would type in the empty space, there would be like a purple field, and then there's a white on top of that. And you need to click that sometimes 2 or 3 times in order for it to actually go into where the purple field showed up to actually stay there. And then at the very end, you have to actually click at the very bottom and save that to your computer. Otherwise, and it also is the same for this document for the workbook. And if you don't do that, then your workbook will show up empty. And that would be a pity if you put all this work into answering these questions and then it's not there. The other way to do that is definitely to put it all the answers first in a Word document, so you definitely have it, and then paste and copy it, copy and paste it into the other document, and then save it there. So even if it doesn't then take it immediately, you at least don't lose the work that you have done. Because I got like 2 or 3 documents that arrived today that were empty. And so I have no idea why this is happening. I haven't really looked deeper into that. I just saw another one from Helen coming in this afternoon. So I just wanted to let you know, double check that you actually have saved it and do your work definitely on a Word document and then copy and paste. So when you come to number 13 and 14, I think there was also an issue already with one of the documents in 13. So I need to go back and check that. Okay, so I assign you, or I have assigned you to your rooms, and you can, as usual, stay as long as you want. And then
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know why I haven't understood this, but do we have another session next Friday?
Next Friday okay. is our celebration. And you will get an information about that, what we are going to do and how it's going to happen. Again, it was supposed to be announced today by Clint, but with him traveling and all that happened this week, it wasn't quite, so we haven't even spoken. So I don't know exactly how we are going to do it and what we are going to do, but it's definitely going to happen next Friday.
And
So are,
were
is
you
the,
gonna tell us? Were you gonna tell us about doing the next course, or are we graded, or how does this sort of
This
complete?
is, yeah, we will show you then also how you can get your certificate when you've gone through all of the lessons and all of that. So that's all going to be revealed. It's I was a bit surprised that how it happened today that he wasn't here today. So I had to kind of improvise a little bit. So I don't know exactly what we are planning for next week yet, but we will. And we'll have a wonderful celebration next week. And
so
we
we're
will
going to
definitely-
actually have two, one on Friday and one on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can come on both if you want to, because you have been here on both, and whoever, there are a couple of people that are sometimes in both. So you're of course welcome to show up on both. And everyone is invited to both, by the way. So even if you have never been on a Saturday morning call, you can still come and do the celebration with us there as well. So
So Cornelia,
yeah,
before you
Deborah.
put us in our rooms, do you think, I came tonight because I wanted to take my dog to the vet tomorrow because she's sick, but I was wondering, do you think Clint's going to be there tomorrow?
No, he's not going to be there tomorrow either. I know
Okay.
he has a clinic tomorrow in Utah, and so he will be busy on tomorrow. And so I don't think he's going to show up. And if he's showing up, he's only going to show up for like maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, so
If that at all, I don't know yet. So
probably he'll talk to us what he was going to say this week at our graduation celebration then.
I assume so. Yeah, it was all hectic. He was supposed to be here tonight, and then he had to change his flight time. So he is now in the air actually while we are speaking. And these are just things that happen. So
Well, that's life, yeah.
That's life. It's a bit of pity because I would have loved him to be here tonight, and but it's just the way it happened tonight. So anyway, but he will be there next week, definitely. He has put those 2 dates in his calendar, so I know that. And so we'll definitely see you again next week. And if you haven't done so yet, just go continue on your lessons wherever you are right now. As I said before, you are exactly where you need to be. And so you have plenty of time to finish the course. And then we will, no matter where you are, we will celebrate next week and have a little bit of a party. Okay, I'll put you now into your breakout rooms and have fun. Open all rooms, and you can stay as long as you want, as usual. Just click on your button. Sheila, I didn't assign you.